Okay, and so another kind of, I don't know if esoteric is the right word, but more of a meta question. A lot of manga have gone into the concept of the monsters having their own perspective.
Yeah.
And our heroes being their monsters and so on and so forth.
Oh, cool. So like the whole morality question.
Yeah, or not just not even morality, but conflicting motives and conflicting necessities.
Yeah. Like,
And
so to you might be painted as the bad guy, but to you're not, that kind of thing.
yeah, and I was thinking about this specifically in the context of Kaiju number 9 in chapter 43, very, very specifically on page 13. We get one of those full page spreads that in any other author, I would say this was an indulgence of the artist wanting to indulge their artistic sensibilities. But Matsumoto I have not yet seen a single wasted panel. And this is an entire page. And it's Kaiju number 9 with 6 arms deploying. He's about to shoot the snot out of whatever's in front of him. And
I bet I know the page you're talking about. Go on, continue.
Now, we've always seen in previous pictures that his arms were able to support themselves. These are big, hefty, meaty arms. They can support themselves and the explosions on the ends of them. But in this panel, there is a ring of tissue behind the arms that appear to be a support structure, just a basic a scaffolding to hold, especially to hold the upper arms up and support them while he's prepping the shot. And that's interesting, but when you actually just pull back and kind of absorb the ambiance of this shot, it looks like a saint in a stained glass window. Now, you might see that's kind of a Western imagery to be reading into a manga, but there's a lot of stained glass imagery in Japan, especially in Tokyo. The church, especially the Catholic Church, has had a foothold there for centuries. So this is an imagery that they have. And his arms are down at his sides, and he's just standing there. His back is straight. He is radiating heroic energy, if you will. And not just heroic energy, but benign heroic energy. The kind you get from, again, St. Paul or St. Peter in a cathedral. All he has to do is like holding a sheep under one arm and the image would be complete. And that is the first thing that struck me about this image before I got caught up in analyzing the fungal growth patterns. But this goes back to the point where we have no idea why Kaiju number 9 is doing what we were doing. We don't know if he was a human who was infected by a kaiju and just went mad, but he did make that comment about wanting to return kaiju power to the kaiju. Mm-hmm. And he is clearly acting with intelligence and a plan towards a goal. So any thoughts on that?
Yes. Well, not lots, but so you were talking about, was it page chapter 43, yeah? Mm-hmm. Page, what was it, 12 or 13?
13, yeah.
13. Okay, so that picture, the one you're talking about, it's a full page, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember when I read that, I remember seeing that picture and thinking, this seems like some sort of, this seems like symbolism for some kind of god. Yeah. And I'm sure I've seen an image like that somewhere, and I cannot place it. I completely forgot about it until you just mentioned it. But I think I want to do some more research into it, or maybe someone else has seen it and they can tell us.
Well, the most obvious symbolism is that, okay, the art of the human with the 6 arms, because the sketch wasn't finished. I think it was Da Vinci's.
Yes, yeah. Well, oh no, maybe it's something like Ashura.
Yeah, the most obvious symbol, the circle around the multiple limbs, would be Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man.
So that's if we look Western, right?
Yeah, that's if you look Western. But yeah, there's a lot of, this is very common imagery no matter what culture you're looking at.
Yes,
the circle behind the straight standing figure. So like I said, the most obvious imagery is the Da Vinci's. I'm not going to.
That's okay. Yeah,
Vitruvian man.
Da Vinci's thing.
Yeah, four legs, 4 arms.
Yeah.
The circle behind him.
So for me, I now that I've just thought of it, I see it more as because when you look at the god Ashura, there's a lot of images that have a similar I guess construction. So he's got all of the arms, he's got like a large ring behind him and a lot of images, and in some he's even got like orbs of fire and stuff like that. So if I had to guess, I would say that for me it feels a lot like he's gone for like this Ashura imagery. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Ashura he's like the god
she
of
is a deity who represents Ashura, a deity worshipped by the Church of Ashura and affiliated tribes, a deity who represents chaos, murder, and all things evil.
Right, there you go. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't want to get carried away with Google because I'm looking at Google at the same time now. But yeah, in a way, I feel like because it's only that one image that you see it like that, and then you kind of lose the ring after that. You don't really see that.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it feels like a bit of symbolism into how Kaiju number 9 has appeared and like his position on the story, even perhaps. But yeah, he's definitely. It feels like symbolism with him bringing this kind of wrath, this evil to the table right now. But yeah, I remember reading that, seeing that image and thinking that as well. And then I totally forgot about it until you just mentioned it. And it just suddenly made my light bulb go off again. But yeah, that it's not like you were saying, you've never seen him waste panels or pages for like anything not particular. So this definitely seems intentional.
Just 3 panels later, he has Kaiju number 9 doing a similar action, but there's no ring behind it, and it's just basically Kaiju number 9 sitting in a cockpit about to fire all torpedoes, basically.
Exactly. It feels like it wasn't. It feels like it wasn't necessary to have that ring and the arms positioned like that. So that definitely seems intentional to me.
Yeah, this is just a really, really dense story.
Oh yeah, we say that all the time, but I 100% agree. I'm still looking at that panel, to be honest. That page is actually that's a really great page.
It is.
It's so simple, but with that symbolism, that is a really awesome page.
And there's something awful and terrifying about it in the oldest meanings of those words, because there is a certain nobility to the stance when you see somebody standing erect like that and open.
Yeah.
That
arms
is
down and open, like his main arms, and then he's got like 1 foot forward, completely upright posture.
And so you get that first impression of openness and honestness and forthrightness, and then all the creepy stuff starts to creep in around it. And it's that contrast that really, really makes this a striking panel, I think.
I agree. I definitely feel like it was intentional to give this impression that he is a force to be reckoned with in this moment, and it's kind of showing like what they're really up against in this moment.
Yeah, and on just the purely, after that first kind of wash of awe wears off, looking at it from a purely scientific perspective, this might be, my mouth wants to say literally symbolic, but that's an oxymoron. Anyway, he is a fungal type kaiju.
Yes.
If you imagine him laying down in the ground, this is very representative of what these fungal type kaiju do. They exist as a network of fibers in the ground, and they send up. When you see a mushroom on the ground, it is one reproductive organ of a much larger organism that's living under the ground as a series of fibers, as a network of fibers. And Kaiju number 9, we've seen that he has multiple bodies. My personal theory is that the actual Kaiju number 9 is more of a diffuse network of tendrils that exist basically under the entire Tokyo area. And he just sends up a body wherever he needs active intervention.
So do you think his core is somewhere else entirely?
I don't think he has a core.
Oh, interesting.
And not like these individual bodies may have So the organisms that live as networks at that, you can pretty much destroy any part of it and the rest of it will keep on living.
Mm-hmm.
It will have lost functionality overall, but a true fungus like this doesn't have a core.
True.
And
how do you think
these bodies, but a body that has mass, that needs fluid circulating, that needs muscles to contract, it would need some kind of core, some kind of a central pump to keep the life flowing. But if he can spawn as many bodies as he needs, that I don't think that any one of them would be his core. It'd just be that a core that he's using to power this one extension of himself.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's pretty much what I was going to ask you, because like the story has kind of gone with this theme right now that all kaiju have a core, like that's their main weak point. So I was just going to ask you what you think, how you think Matsumoto would handle that around number 9 if that came to be the case. Like if he didn't have a core in the literal sense like all the other kaiju have, how do you think that he would handle it for number 9? But yeah, you kind of answered that.
So imagine, if you will, if you took all the neurons in your brain and just stretched them out, there is every single forest out there has a brain underneath it in real life. And this brain has no central organ, no defining me state of being. It just exists there, and we know it exists there because we see it making decisions in the forest. Yeah. This tree dies, this tree lives. And it doesn't have that central thinking. It's just a giant mass of chemicals reacting in such a complicated way that it appears to be making choices for the good of the forest as a whole. Of course, that's probably just us projecting our human processes on this natural process. But yeah, this kind of brings me back to Kaiju number 6. There was something weird about it. So much so that 3 captains died and over 200 other officers. And caused a series of cataclysms. What if that was because it doesn't have a core? It didn't have a core.
Yeah, that's a good point. We were just saying how there'd have to be something unique about it, right? So yeah, perhaps it was something like that.
I mean, think about it. So almost all training has an exception to it. Mm-hmm. Like, you pump water into a system to cool it down, but if a system's gotten too hot, pumping water in it will cause it to explode. Like, think of a boiler. If a boiler heats up without any water, so there are exceptions to every rule of training. You do this in this case. And so it would make sense that if 99% of all kaiju ever seen have had a core, they train their officers to find and go for the core, because that's just practical. It wouldn't even have to be 99%. Even
like the most standard application of their training, basically.
But if, say, every so often you get a kaiju without a discernible core, but it's an anomaly, it would not necessarily be common knowledge.
Yeah, because they're not necessarily trained for it as standard.
Yeah, because if it's never going to show up in your lifetime, or highly unlikely to show up in your lifetime, why bother?
Well, why waste the time, right? Time is money.
Time is lives.
Sense. Yeah, time is life, exactly. In their case, exactly that. Yeah, I can see that.
And then they'll have, of course, maybe a special division that's trained to be a bit more flexible. Lots of scientists in it. Maybe they've got a special division out there that's designed to respond to kaiju that don't have a core.
Yeah, I could definitely believe that, because we're already seeing now how they're reacting to everything that's been going on with kaiju number 8 and 9, to the point where they're trying to put now a new task force in place, or like a new special division in place from, all the elite rookies throughout the divisions. Not that we've seen any more from that yet, hopefully soon, but we know that they're doing that, so it's definitely a possibility that they already have other special divisions.
Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote. The second book of Human Absurdity is now up and going on Indiegogo. If you follow the links below the video, you will be able to pre-order your copy of Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote in electronic format or paperback format. Now, same as last time, everybody who orders the paperback format will automatically get the author-read version of the Humans Are Weird Weird audiobook. And in addition, this time I am going to announce one of my first stretch goals. If I sell 500 books, then I am going to take the money and I am going to hire the local studio to make a full-on audiobook. High quality, professional recording, professional scripting, everything. So that's going to be my first announced stretch goal. At 500 books, I am going to hire Willamina Studios to make a full-on audiobook. Everybody who orders a paperback book will get the audiobook as a matter of course if we reach that first stretch goal. All right, Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, the second book of Human Absurdity, available on Indiegogo. Check out the links below.